afternoon, everyone. My name is Enoch Olaoye, and I'm speaking on impacting or impairing your life with technology. I'm a technology professional. I've been in technology for quite a while. I've seen the evolution of technology from just computers to smartphones and social media, where it is right now. I'm going to start with just giving us an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. We'll do a small experiment just to illustrate something, and then we'll talk about technology. We'll talk about ICT. Then we'll talk about how to use technology and the action steps that we can take going out of this seminar program. Okay, so I'm going to start with the experiment. Okay, it's called the law of the hammer. I'm sure a couple of us must have might have heard about it. If you're in psychology or something, you might have heard about it. Okay, so in 1942, a psychologist by the name of Abraham Luchins conducted an experiment to illustrate something known as the Eisenlog effect. Other people know it as Maslow's hammer. So we're going to just do that small experiment now. Okay, so let's go. So it's a very easy experiment. Let's just take part in the just a very short experiment. Okay, so let's assume you have 3 water jars with the following capacity, like you can see in the picture. You have a small jar that can take 21 units, this is 21 liters of water or ounces. And then you have a bigger one that can take 127 units. And then a very small one that can only take 3 units of water. And you're asked to measure out exactly 100 units of water. So very quickly, how would you go about doing it? Most people would look around. If you're told to do it efficiently, obviously you want to start with measuring out 21 units until you get to 105, and then try and remove some. That will be difficult. But if you fill up the 127 unit jar completely, that's the first jar, and then you take out, and then you pour from the 127 unit jar into the 21 unit jar, right? That's, you take out 21 units from the 127. That would be, you'll be left with 106, right? And then if you pour from the remainder in the 127 unit jar, that's 106, into the 3 unit jar until it's full, you would have 103 units left in the 127 unit jar, right? That's jar B. And then if you empty out the 3 unit jar and pour from the remainder in the 127 unit jar into the 3 unit jar again until it's full, you would have 100 units left, right? So that's 127, the middle jar, minus the first jar, and then minus the third jar, and then minus the third jar again, and then you have 100 units. That's good, right? Okay, so we have 100 units. Okay, so let's try another experiment. Same kind of experiment. What if you have 3 jars, not 21, 127, and 3 this time. You have 18 units, 48 units, and 4 units. And the task is to measure out 22 units as quickly as possible. What's the solution? Well, most of us will just quickly, just like what we just did now, fill up the 48 unit jar, pour from the 48 unit jar into the 18 unit jar until it's full, and then you have 30 units in the 48 unit jar remaining. Pour from the remaining 48 unit jar into the 4 unit jar, then you have 26 units. And then empty the 4 unit jar, and then pour from the remainder in the 48 unit jar into the 4 unit jar again until it's full. And then you have the remainder 22 units. Okay, that's what most people think about. But that's not quite the solution. Even though it works, the right solution is to actually fill up the 18 unit jar, pour it, then fill up the 4-unit jar, and you have 22 units. So the illustration of this experiment, what the experiment shows is that if you solve a problem, or if you've gotten a solution, and life presents you with something else, you would automatically fall back to the solution you're used to, right? Even if there's a better one. And this is what Maslow and Abraham Luchin were saying. Maslow said this: I suppose it is tempting, if the only tool you have is a hammer, to treat everything as if it were a nail. So imagine you have a hammer and you have a screw. If you're used to hammering stuff in, many people still do it today. You just hammer the screw in. But what you really need is a screwdriver, or like in this, like the picture depicted here, you need a bolt or a spanner to push the bolt in. Okay. And if you have this kind of bolt, a hammer will probably be very useless. You won't be able to get anything done. Okay. So that's Maslow's hammer. It's something that we confront every day in our use of technology. Okay. And I just wanted to use that to depict how we use technology, what pitfalls we have when we use technology. Okay. I'm just going to, then I'll move to defining what technology is. Most people, when they hear technology, they just think phones, computers. Okay, but that's not exactly what technology is. The reason why we think technology is phones and computers is because we are really in the information age right now. And of course, we are transiting from the information age into the age of wisdom, but we are still smack right in the information age. So, of course, the tools that give us power over information are the tools that we naturally recognize as technology. Okay, so what is technology? Technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. So, a stone axe is technology. Brick and mortar is technology. The International Space Station is technology. All of these pieces of technology just shows us the evolution, what was important 4,000 years ago. Stone, axes. What was important 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago? Buildings, cities. What was important about 300 years ago, 200 years ago? We're just getting into mobility. So technology meant cars, planes, trains, motors. And then what was important a couple of decades ago in the 1960s and 70s was the space race. So when you heard technology, the first thing you thought about was rockets and spaceships and all of that. You had a lot of movies that depicted that, Star Trek, Star Wars, and all of that. But that's just what technology is. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. Okay? So what is science? Science is studying something through observation and experiment. Science is not this, it's not equations necessarily. That's just an advanced form of science, or using mathematics, which is referred to as the queen of the sciences, to get much further than you would have gotten if you're just using your eyes and your ears to observe. But science is really anything that you do, that you study, observe, experiment, like the experiment we carried out at the beginning of this talk. All of that is technology, is science rather. And then the application of the knowledge you gain by that science is what is known as technology. Okay. So what is ICT? That's what we refer to as technology these days, because we're in the information age. ICT is simply information communication technology, so it's technology too. And of course, taking that over to the social space is where we have application of ICT in social space, or it's broadly known as social media. Okay. So what is ICT? What is ICT? ICT is technology that helps to provide the right amount of information needed by a person at the time the person needs it and in the way the person can understand. That's simply what ICT is. And ICT didn't start today. ICT started 4,000 years ago in writing, hieroglyphics, and then 300 years ago it exploded with the creation of the printing press. And so you had printing technology. And then we moved over a couple of more than a century ago into telegraph. And for the first time, people were able to transmit information wirelessly. The famous Bell Labs. And then a couple of decades ago, we moved into television. And people were able to broadcast to multiple people. Telegraph is one way, one person sending, another person receiving. Television, we're able to broadcast to multiple people at a time. Of course, but you needed to have an expensive broadcast station, and you had to have TV crews and expensive equipment. That was television technology. But now we are in the age of social media. It's the same thing, providing information. Right now, I'm sitting in my study, thousands of kilometers away from you, and everyone is hearing me with a fraction of the cost of what it takes to produce even a printing press. And so it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's still ICT. ICT is not just playing around with your phone. ICT is providing the right amount of information, the right amount of it needed by people when they need it in the way they can understand. That's what ICT is. Now, just like Mr. Tilola was saying in our presentation, you have to understand the purpose of stuff before you can use it well. That's why we're going through this definition to understanding what it really is. So how do I use technology, ICT? First thing, like Mrs. Atola said, you have to have a purpose, or I say, be intentional. Be intentional. When people are printing in a printing press, they know exactly what you're printing, right? An author writes a book, he knows who he's communicating to, and he prints. And then he takes it to the printing press and he prints the book. A telegraph, you know exactly what you want to send. Of course, you had limited characters. It's just like telegraph was like SMS. You only had limited amounts of characters that you wanted to send, and you had to be very short. You had to know exactly what you wanted to send, and you sent it. So you had an intention. Same thing with television. You knew exactly what you wanted to say. You had practiced it before, and then you sent it. It should be the exact same thing with social media. You should know exactly what you want to say, and then you say it. So the first thing you want to do is you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. And how do you become intentional? Just ask yourself questions. What do I really want to do? Why do I want to do what I want to do? And how will what I want to do benefit others around me? That's very short. That's how to be intentional. How can I get what I want to do? What processes should I use? My phone? Should I use my tablet? Should I use Zoom? Should I use Teams? All sorts of tools. And of course, that brings me to this very important fact. Realize that technology is a tool. Technology is only a tool for you to achieve what you want to achieve. It is not a hammer. And that's why we did the experiment at the beginning. If the only thing you have is your phone, most likely you think that the solution to every single thing is to do something with your phone. But when you realize that technology, and in this case, information technology or social media, is just a tool, then you should ask yourself, is this tool right for what I want to do? Will it benefit will it get the most bang for my buck? So you realize that technology is a tool. Okay, ask questions. What is this tool or environment? Okay, so of course your phone is a tool, but social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, even Zoom, Teams, their environments. Okay, so what is this tool? Okay, why was it built? Now, most people don't usually ask themselves why it was built, but for you to really understand the use of a particular kind of technology, you have to understand why that technology was built. So take some time out, find out why Instagram was built, find out why Facebook was built, and you'd be that much better using it. How are other people using it? Right? If you notice, when we're growing up, we learned how to write by looking at our teachers, right? Looking at other people writing. We learned how to speak by looking at other people speaking. Okay? So that's how you use technology. How are other people using technology? Okay. What benefits are the users enjoying? Right? So are they enjoying any benefits? Of course, I want to enjoy the benefits they are enjoying if it aligns with my purpose, if it aligns with my intention. Okay. What are the risks involved with using it? You have to, when we're doing printing press, we understood the risks. Telegraph, we understood the risks. TV, we understood the risks. Now we must understand the risks that go with social media and every kind of technology that we use. Okay. So how do I use information technology? Again, because of the nature of information, we have to examine the truthfulness and the usefulness of the information that we are dealing with, that we want to transmit over this piece of technology. Is this true? Is the author of the information credible? If you're in the academia, you have to cite put your citation, make sure it is true, or you get hammered by your professors. What qualifies the author to say what they are saying? If the author of something on biology is just maybe a bricklayer, you won't believe what the person is saying, obviously. So find out what qualifies the person that is saying this thing to say it. Okay? Consider the implications of the piece of information you are interacting with. Right? What does this information mean for me? What does this information mean for the people around me? How can I use this information to achieve my goals? Okay, so action steps. Very quickly. Determine to become an intentional person. Write the following sentences down where you can see daily. What is my intention? Is this the truth? How do I know this is the truth? Is this beneficial to everyone concerned? What action should I take because of this to achieve my goals? Okay. Action steps. Now I want to leave us with 12 ways our phones are changing us. 12 ways your phone is changing you. It's from a book by Tony Reinke. We are addicted to distraction. We ignore physical people, our flesh and blood. These days, you go to a restaurant, you see people come to enjoy themselves, and all of them are on their phones. They ignore the people around them. We crave immediate approval. It's like crack cocaine. We lose our literacy. We lose the ability to comprehend complex texts. We feed on what other people produced. We become like what we like. We get lonely, even though we have 1,000 friends on Facebook. We get comfortable in secret vices because we're not out in the open. We lose meaning. We fear missing out. In fact, there's a term, fear of missing out, FOMO. It's a big thing now. We become harsh to one another, depicted on Twitter. And we lose our place in time. We lose our place in time. So these are the 12 ways our phones are changing us. Someone said when he was asked, how do we run away from these things? He said, we must remember what was of greatest importance before the communications revolution. The reason why you must remember what was of greatest importance is because communication is only for you to communicate what is important to you. The media does not become what is important. It's only a tool. In fact, that's the word, medium. Social media. It's just a medium. It's just a road. I mean, you don't go and sleep on the road. You don't go and stay on the road. The road is just a means to take you from point A to point B. That's what social media should be. Now, summary. You ask yourself, so how do I do what this IT professional is telling me? The only way to do it, the only way to escape the distractions, because social media is curated to take your time. In Facebook, there is someone that is called Director of Engagement. His job function is to make you spend more and more time on Facebook and on Instagram every single day. That is his job function. And if he's going to get a raise, you are going to spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of your life on Facebook. So how do you do it? How do you navigate this? The solution is for you to have hope. Someone said this: if you have a glorious hope that is big enough that you can give your life for it, then you can be spared the slavery to newness. If you have something that is big enough, if you have a cause, if you have a hope that is big enough that you can give your life for it, then and only then can you be spared the slavery to newness. You can see overweening fascination give way to sober usage. That's the only way. You can watch a toy become a tool. You can watch a craze become a coworker. You can watch something that can take over your life, like Facebook, and that has the danger of being a sovereign. You can see it become your servant to do what you want it to do. And you can watch the triumph of useful efficiency over meaningless habits. So I leave you with this question: what is the hope that's driving you? What is the hope that's driving? Because if you don't have that hope, you are going to be a slave to social media instead of you using technology. And like I usually tell people, don't let technology use you. Use technology to achieve what you want to achieve. Thank you very much.